Assalamualaikum and a very good morning. I be to Madam Maisara. My name is Husna binti Zulkifli, and today I am going to present about assessment issues in primary ESL classroom. So first, let us get to know about the current assessment that we are doing in Malaysian education system. Firstly, Malaysia has moved away from exam-based assessments in primary schools and adopted a school-based assessment system known as Pentaksiran Bilik Darjah or PBD. It is a continuous classroom-based assessment system that replaces traditional exams. It considers as a holistic approach that evaluates students' knowledge, skills, and also attitudes. There are four key features of PBD that I highlighted here. The first one is there are no standardized exams like PMR or UPSR, where students are currently being assessed continuously throughout the year. Second one, there are performance bands, which we call it as TP1 until TP6, that replaces numerical grades. The third one is there is flexible assessment methods that include projects, presentations, portfolios, and many other assessments, which is not only written-based assessment. And then fourth key features is it focuses on real-life application and lifelong learning, which it encourages language in daily use contexts. Even though there are many strengths and also advantages that PBD currently offering to Malaysian education system, however, there are various assessment issues that have occurred in the Malaysian primary ESL classroom which related to grading, feedback, and also reporting. So in this presentation, I am going to discuss about three assessment issues that are currently occurring in my own school or specifically in my own classroom. The first assessment issue that I'll be presenting today is relating to grading system in PBD. So as PBD is the holistical approach, so of course PBD focuses on overall students' development that require knowledge, skills and also attitudes to be continuously evaluated throughout the year. And in PBD, there is also no standardized exams that may cause stress and pressure to the pupils. And due to grading system in PBD, it also helps parents and teachers identify struggling pupils early. When certain pupils are being labeled as TP1 or TP2, parents and teachers can collaborate with each other to help assist students in the initial stage. However, in PBD, due to its grading system that there is no traditional grades like A, B, or C, there is a lack of visible distinction or lack of clarity between high and low achievers. For example, a parent might ask the teacher, what does TP4 mean? Is my child doing okay? Because when a teacher gives a certain pupils the exact TP, it does not feel as clear as giving a B or a C or an A because it doesn't have clear guidelines, and there is also no descriptive comments like good progress in writing. So in PBD, its grading system is very vague. It's very vague and broad, and it does not make the parents are more familiar with its TP levels. And just like I mentioned earlier, general descriptors of PBD does not really reflect pupils' progress as PBD uses very broad descriptors and it actually applied almost the same to all types of pupils. So in my classroom, I have two pupils that may both be graded as TP3, but then the one is just beginning to form simple sentences, but the other one is just she can speak fluently but struggles with writing. So here in PBD, we do not have that descriptors that show or highlight the student's area of improvement or weaknesses. And lastly, PPD also often uses the same rubric for all pupils, regardless of their starting level, language exposure, or different learning styles. So the proposed solution for this issue would be teacher can try to implement narrative grading or checklist evaluation to help pupils and parents better understand their child's progress. So this approach might help to put detailed insights into pupils' performance and what should they work on next rather than just assigning TP levels to the students. And then secondly, teachers can also try to implement flexibility in grading based on pupils' starting point by measuring their individual growth and not just focusing on their final performance. And lastly, teachers can also try to use performance-based grading by include a variety of assessments like storytelling, role-playing, and other interactive activities to evaluate language use holistically and while at the same time trying to suit their different learning styles. The second assessment issue would be relating to the feedback in ESL classrooms. In PBD, continuous feedback were given to the student on student progress through various assessments like formative, observation, peer and self-assessment, and also project-based learning. In PBD also, immediate feedback were given to allow opportunity for growth where pupils can improve and make corrections. However, in certain cases, delayed or insufficient feedback occurs due to large workloads or large class sizes. In my own personal experience, I have 35 pupils per class, so I have experience to be in that struggling situation to provide timely and specific feedback to all students. And in PBD system, pupils are not always encouraged to reflect on their own learning and give feedback on their friends' work due to time constraints. And teachers tend to give written and generic feedback like excellent, good job, or nice try, which may not be clear and understandable enough, especially for year 1 pupils, as it does not engage the student actively and they may feel unsure on how and where to fix their mistakes. So the proposed solutions would be teachers can try to give immediate feedback during activities where teachers can try to correct student mistakes in a fun and non-punitive way in the class such as through games or songs. Secondly, teachers can also try to encourage peer feedback where they can teach the pupils to give simple comments to friends after every activity like good job or I like your story. And then lastly, teachers can also try to give visual and oral feedback through smiley faces or by drawing stars, giving stickers, or providing simple spoken feedback like nice. Try to pronounce the word correctly one more time, or good job, or excellent. So this would help students to develop and learn better. Lastly, the third issue would be relating to the reporting student progress. In PBD, it encourages teacher observation and holistic reporting rather than just giving grades, and it also focuses on continuous assessment rather than a one-time exam. However, in PBD, I can see that there are many parents struggle to interpret their child's performance reports as they are not familiar with performance bands like TP1 until TP6. And then in PBD, there is also no standardized format making reporting inconsistent across schools. Teachers also may describe progress differently, leading to variation in assessment fairness. And then in PBD, there is also delayed reporting occurs as progress is often only shared at the end of the term. So the proposed solution would be teachers can try to incorporate narrative grading or checklist-based reports for clearer feedback. Secondly, teachers can also try to have standardized reporting templates across schools to improve consistency. And then thirdly, teachers can try to implement mid-term reporting instead of only end-of-term reports through parents-teacher conferences. And then lastly, teachers can try to utilize digital communication tools like WhatsApp or Telegram to provide real-time personalized progress reports to parents. So, in summary, these are the issues that I've mentioned earlier. So, the first one that is relating to the grading system in PBD, where there is lack of clarity, where TP1 to TP6 bands are vague compared to traditional grades like A, B, C. And then in PBD, we also have broad descriptors that may not reflect individual student differences. And then it is also one size fits all rubric that doesn't consider students' starting level or learning styles. While for feedback in ESL classroom, the issues are feedback can be delayed or generic due to large class sizes, and then there is also lack of student reflection or peer feedback happen in classrooms, and also teachers are prone to written feedback that may be too abstract or complex for year 1 students. And lastly, relating to reporting student progress, where I can see that many parents struggle to interpret TP bands, there is no standardized format, and the reporting varies between schools, and reporting is delayed often only at the end of the term. In conclusion, PBD does offer many advantages in assessing primary ESL learners in Malaysia. It focuses on holistic and continuous evaluation, looking at students' overall growth rather than just final exams. PBD uses various methods like observations, projects, and oral assessments, giving a better understanding of each student's abilities and challenges. However, there are still some issues in grading, feedback, and also reporting. These include unclear grading, subjective and insufficient feedback, as well as delays in reporting. These challenges can affect how well PPD helps students and how easily parents and teachers can understand their progress. To improve these, solutions like narrative grading, using digital platforms like WhatsApp or Telegram, and midterm reporting can make communication clearer and involve both parents and teachers more actively in the students' learning. By addressing these issues, PBD can be made even more effective, creating a better and more supportive learning environment for students in Malaysian primary ESL classrooms. With that, thank you.